Hello and welcome to the Red Menace. We're coming to you from the hot button topic country of Australia. Who is our Prime Minister? We legitimately don't know at this point of recording. It could be like 4 different people.
See, the thing is, we're recording this on a Thursday night, and you'll be hearing this on a Monday, and I can 100% say that I don't know who will be Prime Minister when this is released.
All I can say is that whoever it is, I'm dreading it, and that I can
It's the
think
worst
of
timeline.
I can think of far better candidates for it off the top of my head than any of the ones that have been suggested. I'm going to start...
Well, here's the thing. These are just the ones that are being suggested. It could be anyone.
That's true. There's a lot of options that we're not considering. Like,
Sure.
just right off the bat, I would like to give... Not even give a chance to, but legitimately just give it to Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, because I think she could multitask well enough to handle both countries at once, and even only giving half her attention to our country would do a much better job than any of our current politicians.
She'd push more policy through.
Exactly.
With another country to be a Prime Minister of, and a baby.
I'm also going to throw Sophie Monk into the ring because I thought she handled her season of The Bachelorette pretty well. She handled a lot of raging, insecure men, which is what is required if you're in Parliament. And I think she would crush
essentially... Well, if we want to get some hardliners down there, you could get the Keith, the foreman from the block, in there. He deals with a lot of whiners as well and gets a lot of shit done, I suppose, as far as infrastructure goes. So
that's true. All right, so now I want to decide. I was originally thinking we would just do like a riff coming up with various different people, but I don't want to do that. I want to decide who would be better a Prime Minister, Keith from the Block or Sophie Monk from The Bachelorette, because I think they both have a lot of great qualities. I'm going to be in Sophie's corner. You happy to be in Keith's corner?
I'm happy to be in Keith's corner, yeah.
Okay. Politics is all about making connections. And there is no way you learn to do that better than on the set of The Bachelorette, where you have to date like 25 people at once and make sure all of them feel like you care about them. Sophie's going to be able to make everyone in Australia think that she cares about them.
Sophie could be out there on the international stage winning favours with the other politicians, but Keith would be back here at home getting shit done. He'd be building schools, building roads, building stuff that needs to be built because he's a builder and he builds things.
But Sophie's not going to need to build them because she'll have coerced 25 insecure men to do it for her. And that's the way to get anything done in this world, is convince insecure men to do it for you.
Or make insecure men cry when you tell them their building's not good enough. Perhaps they can work together. She can coerce them to do it, and then he can tell them that they're not doing a good enough job and then make them cry.
This is the dream team of Australian politics, and I'm really disappointed that this is not the setup we've currently got. I'm going to put forth that those two should be in power for... I mean, we don't have term limits in this country, so as long as we'll take them, or as long as they'll take us, really.
Yeah, look, if anyone would like to give being the Australian Prime Minister a go, just give me a call and I'll hook you up with a position.
Yeah, we've got a lot
of connections. It's anyone's game, really. Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, though, like, we probably could swing that if we tried hard enough at this point.
Just give us a shout. Give us a shout. If you want to be a Prime Minister.
We're very excited to announce our new sponsor, TPG, the Internet Corporation. Oh, yeah. They've been a big help with the show for the first 4 weeks of the show, and have been like actively detrimental for the last 2 weeks of the show. But they've decided that as penance, they're going to give us a lot of money.
Yeah, but that money doesn't include giving me internet access in my house yet. They're giving money, but no internet access yet.
So basically they're bribing us to not dunk hard on them on this show listened to by millions. TPG. Because their brand can't take it.
Absolutely not. They're going to go down in history as the one who screwed up the greatest show on earth.
Do you want to, on that note, do you want to start us
Yeah,
off
well,
with
I
a story?
thought we'd start off with something a little bit different today. Well, not different. It's different in that it's a follow-up from what we did last week. So really it's jumping right back into where we left off.
Okay.
Now, those regular listeners of you will know that last week we were following a story by Jamieson Murphy from the New England area, who has been chasing up panthers in the New England region. He's the local panther correspondent for New England.
I love that exists. It just makes me so happy.
That's legitimately what he's been doing. This is from today. Another panther story from New England. But this one offers a bit of a solution to the panther problem that we've been having. And you would never guess what the solution is.
I don't think I can guess, because all of the guesses I'm going to come up with are really depressing, and I hope it's not
It's a cat.
one of those. Okay.
Well, it could be a feral cat. So his headline goes, New England Black Panther could be a feral cat. People from across the region have recently shared their panther sighting stories. However, it's possible they've spotted an elusive but destructive feral cat.
Alison, when was this article released?
Today.
They're biting our turf, because this is our story. We've said all of this in our episode of this very popular
Jameson's
show.
listening to us.
Yeah, I'm accusing this person quite directly of plagiarizing from our very good show. Because, no shit, it's a cat. It's not a panther.
Well, he doesn't say that, though. He said it's possible it's a cat. It's possible.
Oh, okay.
We're not sure, though. It could be a cat.
I mean, what else could it be? Like a robot? There's not a lot of options. No. Panthers, unless a panther has escaped from a zoo at some point in the last few years, which I feel like I would know about.
I feel like a lot of people would know about that.
The options are, right, A, robot, which is unlikely because I've seen the big dog robot and it's impressive, but it's not impressive enough to actually pass as a cat. B, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version of a cat, so it's like a cat that went into a sewer and got mutated. And I can't think of a C because they're the only two options outside of it is just a cat, which, given how unlikely the first two seem, is probably real. So no
it's
shit,
cat.
Jameson or whatever your name was.
To be fair, I don't think the story is in the fact that there's a panther anymore. I think the story is in this journalist, Jamieson Murphy, for the Northern Daily Leader. Is that what it is? Yeah, the Northern Daily Leader is just spending his entire journalism career chasing up this panther story, and his editor is allowing it.
Do you think this is how he's trying to claw back some credibility after having written about the Panther documentary last week? So he's written that, and he's probably got a lot of mean tweets being like,
"It's a cat. It's a
Jamie. This is some real bullshit. It's a cat, man."
So he's like, I'm writing a story tomorrow focusing on the cat angle. Okay, it's a possibility.
The cat angle. In this day and age, it's really important for journalism to be balanced and to demonstrate both sides of an argument.
Absolutely.
Like this one.
Now, just whenever I read stories like this, I like to imagine us pitching this to Peter Frey back in advanced journalism.
Shout out to
Peter Frey.
UTS professor.
And I like to imagine being in that classroom and pitching this story to him and his reaction and getting roasted.
I know he never really swore at us, but I can hear him in my mind just saying what the fuck, Alison?
I can accept Scientology, I won't accept Panthers.
Alison, I'm not going to explain to you why it's a bad story, just get a different
Give me
one.
another Scientology story. No more of this Panther shit.
You up for me giving you another story?
Absolutely.
Now, this one is... So the core concept of the story is actually, kind of mean. But I think that there's a lot of interesting conceptual potential behind it. Mm-hmm. So, This is from Community News. Ugly Perth gym sign going viral. And now, in this headline, ugly is in inverted commas.
Okay, sure, because it's not the journalist's opinion.
Oh, no, well, you'll see.
Okay, sure.
A cheeky sign promoting a popular Perth gym chain is getting plenty of online attention this week. The light-up neon sign is on Albany Highway to promote Anytime Fitness in Bentley. Overweight and ugly, the sign reads, just be ugly.
Oh, dear.
So that's, firstly, that sucks. Like,
Who writes that? I mean, it's funny, but it's funny in the fact that someone would think that was okay.
a good idea for like marketing. But like, okay, they're essentially, to use creepy pickup terminology, negging their like audience.
Negging the customers. And I like that concept.
Yeah, they're negging their customers. And I'm just curious as to like what other brands we could use this kind of tactic for. Like for this podcast, for example, if instead of trying to put out like a cool little social media blast and be like, listen to our cool stories, what if like on Monday we just post, you dumb fucks, why haven't you listened to this podcast yet? Do you want to feel like an idiot? Listen to the podcast, you morons.
I think we're in no place to be calling people stupid, though, after last week's mathematics debacle.
No, that's very, very true.
Yes.
That's very, very true.
Why aren't you listening to this podcast, you big dum-dum, is what the...
You big
you
idiots.
Big loser. All the cool kids are listening to this and you aren't. Think about that.
I feel like there's a lot of potential for us to become Mad Men-esque advertising executives if we just nab this idea and expand it to other companies.
Really dive right into it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because it's fundamentally the same as a lot of what advertising is. Like, it's supposed to make you feel shitty so that you want to do the thing. But this is just a little bit more direct
It's
about
blatant.
it.
We're not trying to hide anything. We're going to blatantly insult you and hope that you buy our product.
I know you're not allowed to advertise cigarettes, but an obvious one for that would be, oi, loser, do you want to seem cool? Because you don't right now. Take up smoking.
No one likes teetotaler. That's the word I was going for. No one likes a teetotaler. Get this gin and tonic in your mouth. I don't know.
I love that that's the gin the drink you picked.
I don't know.
Famously edgy drink, gin and tonic.
I'm so on edge. As a non-drinker myself, it was very hard to come up with alcohol off the top of my head, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. I feel like beer or wine should have, but gin and tonic, there you go.
You remember those the Apple ads back in the day where they would say that they would dress up the guy as like a dork and they would say he's the PC,
oh, yes.
and then the Apple's the cool guy. What if instead of having it done through like that elaborate metaphor, there was just someone sitting with a Windows laptop in like a coffee shop or someone walks up to them, knocks it off the table and says, "You dorky dumb shit," and puts a MacBook down in front of them and says, "Use this, you dumb idiot."
Now picture this.
Okay.
It's like a big guy wearing a Letterman jacket and like footy shorts and a backwards cap.
Yep.
And he's the one slamming the Mac down on the table in front of this dweeb. Like, you dweeb. Look at you, dweeb, sitting there using your
you fucking
dweeb
nerd.
machine.
Oh, it doesn't have all of the Mac applications. Nerd! I can't think of how they advertise MacBooks because, like, they don't at this point anymore. So I'm kind of at a loss for, like, what the thing that they bring to the table is outside of they have GarageBand, which, thank you for helping us make this podcast, I guess.
I just like the idea of, all our advertisements being stuck in, like, 80s tropes of how the world works and not, like, moving with the times. So you've got, like, the 80s jock and, like, the, 80s nerds coming in with their
Okay,
thick
when you said
glasses.
80s tropes, I literally just thought of, like, Rambo delivering all of these put down Sylvester Stallone as Rambo.
Yes.
Just being like, you dumb fuck using your
You nerd.
PC.
Nerd alert.
And then he shoots a bunch of people because that's what happens in Rambo, I think.
I've never watched
I'm 24. I haven't watched Rambo.
Neither have I. All I know about Rambo is what Frank said on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in that one episode. That's my entire reference for Rambo.
You got a story for me?
Well, this one, yeah, let's move on to this one. This one's from the Courier Mail, which isn't a local news one, but, you know, it's straight out of Queensland.
We had to make do this week. This politics took up all of the newspapers.
Look, every newspaper was just filled to the brim with people putting forward their local heroes to be our Prime Minister. Jamieson Murphy was...
I'd be down for that.
Jamieson Murphy was recommending the Panther, the local Panther, to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I would love if it was just like... I've been hearing all about these leadership challenges, and I want to put forth Steve from my local gym. He's a really great guy. I think he's really responsible. He's only a little bit in debt. I think he would do really well at running this country.
So this is like a classic cat and mouse story, really, but there's no cats or mice involved. There is, in fact, a man and a brown snake. Shout out to our overseas listeners. Got to throw in some classic Aussie snake stories.
Get ready.
So the headline is, Eastern brown snake finally caught by Queensland snake catcher after 5-hour standoff.
Jesus.
Patience and persistence. Go ahead, sorry.
It's like that scene in The Hurt Locker where there's a sniper battle and it takes 5 hours. Except it's a snake and a man and there's no guns.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume no one died.
No one died. He's alive, I assume. Who knows?
I hope.
Who knows what happened after the telling of this tale? Patience and persistence has paid off for a Queensland. God. Patience and persistence has paid off for a Queensland snake catcher who had a 5-hour Mexican standoff with a mammoth eastern brown. Andrew Smedley, who owns Andrew's Snake Removal, spent a large chunk of Tuesday in wait for an eastern brown that had made a habit of sunbaking on a rock wall at a residence in Marburg, 60 kilometres west of Brisbane.
Can I just quickly interrupt you to
Yes.
say that I know it's not what it meant, but after you said a mammoth eastern brown snake, all I could imagine is a snake with tusks. And I can't think of a more terrifying creature to possibly exist.
A hairy
than
snake,
a snake with
tusks.
spikes. A hairy snake with tusks coming out the front of it. And that's the perfect predator.
Well, that absolutely exists for all our overseas listeners. That's a classic Australian animal. A mammoth snake with hair and tusks that crawls around at night and likes hotels, especially where people stay.
If you feel something furry crawling by your leg and then you feel a sort of pointed piece of bone piercing your sternum, you will know that that's one of the mammoth snakes, and you can't trust them, but at that point, they've already got you.
Only Mr. Smedley can help you. I just like his name, Andrew Smedley.
That's a really good name.
So...
It's like a classical Australian doofus hero name.
Andrew Smedley to the rescue. Just the way the story is written is great, though. It says, the snake had a habit of making daily appearances at about 9 a.m, and sure enough, as if it was keeping an appointment, the Eastern Brown slithered out for its cameo, but not long enough for Mr. Smedley to nab it. It swiftly retreated into the rock wall, and that's when the fun and games began for the Ipswich-based catcher, who first tried to flush it out using a garden hose.
What, are you trying to, drown this snake?
I don't know if this guy, Andrew Smedley, is a professional snake remover, or if it's just some dude they found on, Craigslist.
They just walked out onto the street and they were like, there's a fucking snake in here!
It's got tusks and hair! Come on!
And then Andrew from outside goes, holy shit, there's a snake? I want to see!
Oh, I want to have a look!
And then the confusion escalated from there.
Absolutely. It swiftly retreated into the... Oh, I've said that one. Blah, 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 blah. Well, it's got his quotes. Look, at the end of the story, we've got a little bit of sponsored content about Andrew Smedley's company.
Ooh, okay.
He said the charge to remove a snake starts between $50 and $100, although some people balk at that. You have to keep your prices reasonable because not everyone wants to pay. 70% of people who call want a free service, and some of them don't want to pay. They said they'd rather kill it. So...
What? That's a fun idea. So... I didn't know that was an option in terms of paying for stuff. Like, when I call the handyman to come and fix my oven or something like that, if he comes and he does it and then he says, all right, that'll be $100.
So, oh, no.
If I go...
I want a free service, please.
What? I didn't think... No, this is free, isn't it?
Yeah, this is free service.
And then he just goes, dang, you got me there.
Well...
Had I known that was an option, I would have been using that for, like, a lot more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have paid for any of this recording equipment. I would have just said, sorry, I thought this was free. I guess it's mine now.
I wouldn't have paid for an internet service. Oh, wait. I better bloody not be paying.
Can I give you... So it's not a story. It's more a series of stories.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Oh, two. So I feel like I've oversold
Spinning a wild tale.
All right, so this is one story from the Sunraysia Daily.
Sunraysia. I've been trying to check out the Sunraysia Daily, but it keeps paywalling me, and I'm not sure if I want to go down the paying for content route again.
Here's... Don't tell News Corp this, but if you import it into Instapaper, it bypasses the paywall.
Right.
So, neither of these articles are super interesting in and of themselves. Well, no, they're interesting, but not super funny in and of themselves. But I think when we put them together, they make something wonderful.
Great.
So, first headline from Sunraysia Daily. Copycat tourists lured into croc-infested waters. So... Summary of this article is, in the Northern Territory outback town of Katherine, shout out to Katherine, home of the Katherine Times.
Our favourite newspaper.
Crocodile captures are in record sizes and numbers. 16 dangerous saltwater crocs have been pulled from the local river this year alone. One a monster as long as the family car. Yesterday, a 3.5-metre male saltwater crocodile was trapped at a popular fishing spot, Galloping Jacks 20 kilometres downstream from the town. Disregarding warning signs, tourists visiting the town's hotspots are copying locals who have been ignoring expert warnings. With dry season temperatures reaching more than 30 degrees, the many tourists escaping winter in the south are lured into the clear water. So, essentially...
Those bloody locals are
like,
going swimming.
Yeah, exactly. And the tourists see them doing that and they go, oh, cool, let's do that.
Oh, let's go swimming too.
Exactly.
That's their voice when they do it.
This is the backstory. And then the punchline. And now this one's from Port Macquarie News, but I still think the concept...
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, you've probably heard this one.
I don't think... I haven't read the Port Macquarie News in a few weeks.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I found it in the Port Macquarie News, but this was all around the country. This is the big news of the week, outside of the election and nonsense like that.
Well, the crocodile's running for Prime Minister, I hear, so it's been... it's integrated.
Well, not anymore, it's not, Alison, because headless crocodile found near Mount Isa.
Oh. Yeah, it's not running for... Well,
No.
Which of the other contenders did that?
Well... Can I provide a counter-argument? I think it was one of these tourists who were lured into the croc waters, got attacked by the croc, and then they turned out to be a little bit more than that croc could chew.
That croc bit off more than he could chew.
Exactly. And one of these people used their, mad ninja skills to,
Karate chop a crocodile's head off?
Yeah, basically. I just think one of these tourists is... They've been lured in by the locals, and the crocodile underestimated them, and he's paid the price.
Well, I mean, that could be the case, or the croc could be...
Or it could be...
in the prime ministerial race and got it beheaded by one of the other candidates.
Oh, shit, Alison. Okay. Immigration is a big topic in this election.
Yes.
What if this crocodile was a pretty hardline anti-immigration crocodile?
And he was against those darn tourists.
He was against the tourists, and he paid the price for that particular political stance.
Do you know, good old, well, not good old at all, Bob Catter in the Parliament talking about crocodiles biting people, eating people every 3 weeks or 3 people a week or whatever the lunatic thing he was saying was. Perhaps it was him getting his vengeance on the crocodiles for killing the people of his electorate.
I can imagine Bob Catter going through like a Kill Bill-esque ninja training montage of like learning to use the art of the katana, learning sword fighting, and then as he goes down to the river, like, you know, dramatic music plays in the background, he draws his sword and duels this crocodile. Unfortunately, Bob Catter won, which is not who I personally would have been rooting for. But
no,
you take what you can get.
I can't say I would be cheering him on either. But you know, in a man versus croc battle, there's really no winners.
You got another story?
I'll just have a quick throwdown. As you know, as we all know, Australia's in the middle of one of its worst droughts in 50 years, I believe. And, you know, there's a lot of stories about that as well, which is quite grim. So it's kind of drought adjacent, I suppose. It's from the Daily Liberal, which is from Dubbo and that general region.
Okay.
This is just a very lazy story. But I think my favourite thing about this, before we even get into the story, is in the caption for the photo. They've tried to write Dubbo Showgrounds, but they've written Showgrounds with S capital H OPW grounds.
Shopwgrounds.
With a capital H, so the emphasis is on the...
That's definitely the episode title right there. Shopwgrounds.
Anyway, I feel like the editor's probably focusing on some other things right now. But, well, the headline says, Quiet Day for Buses.
Okay.
And it's not a very long article at all. But it says...
I can imagine.
So there was a telethon being held by the Channel 9's Today Show in Dubbo, for context, in the Dubbo Showgrounds. And they wanted, I suppose, the media in Dubbo to put out some information about the bus routes and whatnot so that the people of the local communities could get the bus to the showgrounds for the telethon. But it says, insufficient advertising may have been the cause for the small amount of people who took up the offer for a free bus trip to the Dubbo Showgrounds on Monday for the Today's Show's drought telethon.
Oh man, a free bus trip. What a great deal.
What an excellent thing. Despite 3 coaches running to 6 towns across the Central West, just 20 preschoolers from Trangie and 1 person from Narromine got on Langley's coach.
Holy shit, that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard. What is 20 preschoolers and 1 other person?
There's no word about the preschoolers coming with like any carers either.
Can I put it out there that 1 other person must have felt like a real creep?
Just in a bus full of preschoolers. Oh my God.
I used to review movies for this website, and I would get like free tickets to go and see these movies, and I had to go and review the Secret Life of Pets, the animated kids movie, which meant I had to, me, an adult male, go into this like movie theater for this kids movie filled with kids and families and sit up the back because I didn't want to be seen watching this fucking animated kids movie for 2 hours, and it was alone, and it was the creepiest I've ever felt in my whole life. It was awful. Also, I don't like that movie very much.
We're a movie review podcast now. I think the only movie review that I've done is that it was like my first print newspaper story that I did in Indonesia. And I got, like, press tickets and got to go to the full press screening for
Ooh.
the third movie in the Maze Runner series. I'd not seen Maze Runner 1 or 2.
Awesome.
I had no
Great.
idea what the heck was happening. And I had to write a review for the newspaper. So that night after I saw that movie, I was taking this very seriously. It was my first assignment, and I really wanted to impress, with my hard-hitting Maze Runner review. I watched both the other movies that night.
Jesus, that's
so
dedication.
Look, I'm a very serious journalist, I've really got to give it my best shot. And the movie still didn't make any sense after.
So can you give me, given that you binge watched all 3 of the Maze Runner movies, can you give me a 1-sentence review of the Maze Runner trilogy?
The Maze Runner as a trilogy.
Yeah, because I have not watched any of these, and I want to know if they're worth my time. And we're a journalism podcast.
Probably not worth your time.
All right, fair enough, done. I'm not going to watch that shit then.
Some boys in a maze doing some Hunger Games style stuff, and stuff happens, and I was really confused. Apparently it makes sense if you've read the book. I felt very lost.
That's really cool. Don't you love it when you go to watch a movie and you go, I feel like there's some good stuff in here. If only I'd read the 300 pages of required research beforehand.
They sent, for all the people that went to the press screening, they gave us this DVD that had all this information about, the production of the movie, and it was 60 pages of stuff. Jesus.
Can you imagine if you went to watch, Titanic, and you walked out and you were like, I mean, it was okay. I don't really feel like I got it. And someone was like, I mean, did you read the backstory? Did you read about, the backstory of Jack and Rose and the door and the boat?
You have to read the book first. You have to read it to get it.
You have to read the book. And in that case, it'd be a history book.
Now, I feel like a real jerk because I would say that to people all the time about Harry Potter. I'd be like, you've got to read the book to make sense of it. All right, it's a great movie if you read the book. But, now I understand what it's like to be on the receiving end of that because... and now
Your immediate response is, no, fuck you. I won't.
I'm like, shit, I've got to reach out to a lot of people and apologise to them. But back on this...
your penance. Yes,
back
please.
on this story. Back to the Daily Liberal. So we were at the bus and there was a lot of preschoolers on there and one other person who felt like a real creep, I'm assuming.
Okay.
But this is the funny part, really. It says, Channel 9 put the call out to various media channels to help spread the message. A Langley bus driver told the Daily Liberal, but upon arriving in one of the towns to pick up locals, one resident told them that no one had heard about the free bus trip. Okay, so... going back and reading this newspaper, I couldn't find any information in this particular newspaper about the free bus trip. So this newspaper wasn't doing its duty either. But then, just the final part of this article, it's got the pickup locations were, and then lists the pickup locations that the people could have got the free bus from if this newspaper published the free bus location list before no one caught the bus.
That's very good in that this is very passive-aggressive in the sense of, why didn't any of you motherfuckers catch the bus? But it's also very covering the arse in the sense of, no, we totally published it. We
totally
promise.
said where the locations were. We wrote it on our website. See? So this article came out after the bus. Yeah, but it says it on our website, so you can't...
We definitely did it.
I mean, it could be deep in the website somewhere about this bus locations thing. But, a side theory for me is maybe just no one wants to go to the Today Show's telethon.
Yeah,
no one wants to spend the day with Carl Stefanovic, pretending to be relatable to the country folk.
That does sound like hell, I think.
It doesn't
Good call.
sound...
I feel kind of bad for these 20 preschoolers and one creep now. That's not... Those poor people had to sit through some shit.
Yeah, but, drought relief's a good cause, but Carl Stefanovic...
Not worth the Carl.
No, he's not my top pick for Prime Minister.
He's like third or fourth at best.
Yeah, probably.
Can I give you another story from the Sunraysia Daily?
Yes. Throwing out the Sunraysers.
So, headline is, Lock me up. Robber wanted to be jailed until retirement.
Well, good honest man.
So, a Red Cliffs service station attendant was threatened with a knife because the offender wanted to go to jail for about 11 years so he could, quote, retire in peace and not have people pester him, a court has heard.
I've never heard of a more relatable criminal in my life. It's so relatable.
Michael Gregory Arthur Sinclair, 56.
I like his name. That's a lot of first names.
That's a lot of first names. Pleaded guilty to attempted armed robbery at a country court sitting in Mildura yesterday. The court heard about 6:15 p.m. on December 15 last year. Sinclair attended the Caltex service station in Red Cliffs with a 22-centimetre bent kitchen knife concealed in his back pocket. After briefly walking around the shop, Sinclair approached the counter and said to the attendant he had hoped that he had his procedures in order because he had a knife in his pocket and was going to rob him before asking for a packet of cigarettes. Which is a very, it's a very...
Got my knife, gonna ask for the cigarettes, all right. 11 years it is.
He's not asking for a lot.
No. He's very specific with his demands.
Exactly.
He just wants a pack of cigarettes, he just wants 11 years in prison.
The victim thought Sinclair was joking due to his non-threatening demeanour and proceeded to retrieve the cigarettes.
Oh, can I get some cigarettes?
Can I get some cigarettes? Yeah, sure. What's that? Oh, it's my knife. If you don't get them, I'll gotcha.
Kill
yeah,
you.
I'll do it. I swear. You be scared. You get those cigarettes.
You don't you lean over to that phone and call the police officers.
Oh no! Be careful! Don't trip! Don't trip over! I don't want to hurt you. However, when he turned back around and Sinclair was holding the knife, he stated, "I'll take everything in the till as well." The victim then pressed the security button under the counter, alerting police.
Oh no! Oh! Don't press the button! Oh no! Don't press it! Don't press it! Oh, you pressed it! Oh dear!
Oh no! Oh no! You done did that!
Are you going to run away or anything?
No! This is so bad! I
now.
can't believe you pressed the button.
It's too late now. I can't run now because the cops will already be on their way. Or the nearest police station's about 2 hours away, mate. It's too late. You know they're going to get me. I've just got to accept it. Too bad.
In this world, it's important to accept the consequences of your actions.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to do here and now, and I'm going to wait for the police.
I'm going to do the right thing. I've tried to rob you. I've threatened you. You're scared. I'm sorry. I'm going to jail.
Do you have a cushion or something I can sit on while I wait?
So how's the wife, Bob? How's the family going?
I'm going to skip over the rest of the actual details of the robbery, not because they're particularly gnarly or anything, but just because they're not as good as what we've just concocted.
Oh, our details were good. No one needs to know the truth.
Except for... the court was told the attendant reached over the counter and grabbed the knife from the offender, telling Sinclair to leave. He briefly left, before again returning and stating he would wait for police to arrive.
So basically our made-up scenario was what happened.
Quite accurate, yeah.
He ran away and then came back to wait for the police to arrive.
I'm just imagining this guy running off and then kind of sulking back through the door being like, well, I don't have anything better to do.
Oh, I guess I'll wait here for the police to arrive.
Okay. He was later interviewed and stated his end goal was to end up in jail for 11 years. So he
11 years specifically.
So he could, quote, retire in peace and not have people pester him, such as Centrelink in the tax department.
I mean, I can relate.
Yeah, same. This is the most creative tax evasion I've ever heard of.
Who needs a solid pension plan when you can go to jail for exactly 11 years for not doing anything?
Here's the kicker.
Yes.
Defense counsel Gavin Tellefson yesterday admitted the facts of the matter were bizarre. He said, given the penalty for the for the offence attracted a maximum of 20 years in jail, and the client had a desire to spend 11 years behind bars, he perhaps should have taken a different route. Not sure if he looked at the terms for armed robbery, but he could have chosen something less onerous, Mr. Tellefson said.
I like the, judges giving him some advice about what he should do if he wants 11 years and not 20 years.
This is his lawyer.
Oh, his lawyer. Okay.
I'm going to assume he pled guilty.
Yeah. Well, you'd be fool to plead not guilty.
Yeah, it's true. It would defeat the whole point. Let's get out of our garbage country and go to our much, much nicer neighbour, New Zealand.
Sure. Back to our favourite newspaper.
Paraglider crashes into power lines, causing outage. Mm-hmm. I originally was worried this was going to be kind of grisly, because, someone lands on a power line, I expected they'd kind of get a bit of a zap. It's actually not.
A little bit zippy-zappy.
Yeah, but apparently not. So, a paraglider had a lucky escape after crashing into a power line, causing a power outage in Queenstown today. Police and 2 fire crews were called to the scene of the crash at the intersection of Weaver Street and Gorge Road at 4:10 p.m. The paraglider managed to free themselves from the power line with their equipment, and by the time the fire service had arrived, they had left the scene. Which is a fucking baller move.
I just love this. New Zealanders are just so chill. They crash into a power line and then be like, oh, I'm in a power line, bro. Oh, I'm just going to climb down and untangle myself and pack up my equipment and go. Don't want to make any hassle for anyone.
I'm just imagining this person landing. They're like, oh, I'm not dead. That's a surprise. Oh, I can hear the police coming. Okay. And then he unhooks his thing, does like the superhero landing on the road. And he's like, he just stands up, brushes off his jumpsuit, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll go then. And just walks off.
This is very much the opposite of grim. It's just...
I know, right?
Could you... I like that. It's like, a fire starts in your house and the fire alarm goes off and the fire services come to, put it out. But by the time they've arrived, you've already put the fire out and you've put on you've put on a pot of tea, and then you're sitting down and enjoying your tea, and then the firefighters arrive and say, oh, no, it's all good, mate. No worries. Under control.
I kind of get it, though, because this guy was going to get in a lot of trouble. And
yes.
I kind of understand the logic behind, no one's there. He can probably leave and it's okay. I like to think I'd be a responsible citizen, but I can't promise that I would not also just leave.
Well, unless you wanted to go to jail for 11 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I too might decide to walk away from the scene and be like, oh, it's all good. No one saw. All right.
Do we want to finish up?
Yes.
All right. If you like the show, please make your friends listen to it.
Force them to at knife point.
At knife point, you won't go to prison. We won't rat on you. And if you do go to prison, it's a nice way to avoid having to pay your taxes.
No one can bother you if you're in prison, except the other prisoners. But that's not. Yeah. If it's all just people who want to avoid taxes, then I'm sure it's a lovely place.
It's basically the Cayman Islands. All right. Give us a review on iTunes. That's very helpful. Helps us become, as incredibly rich and successful as we obviously deserve to be with this really good intellectual show.
It puts us in standing to be the Australian Prime Minister. The more ratings you get, the more likely we are to get in there.
It is. Well, it's a literal popularity contest, so
It really is. If we get enough subscribers, we'll be up there in Parliament.
So the current top 3 candidates for the Prime Ministership, according to Apple Podcasts, is the Australian newspaper. That's depressing. That's basically who.
That's basically true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not really a change. Number 2, Paul Shirley and Lunch Break Entertainment. with their podcast Stories I Tell on Dates. I'd vote for them. Number 3 is Mamma Mia Podcast Network. We could make that work. Number 6 is Hamish and Andy. I'd vote for them. They sound like they'd be
that could
fun.
work. Look, I think it'd be less of a joke than the existing parliament.
Exactly.
They might come in there and actually make some policies. But anyway, this is getting very political. But like and rate us on iTunes. It will
Smash
be
that
very
like
helpful.
button. Subscribe to the channel. That's a YouTube thing. But
hit that bell. Whatever.
hit that bell for when I release my latest videos. All right. I'm Chris Bolson.
And I'm Alison Hall.
So this last story, also Otago Daily Times, best newspaper in the world. So this is a story about a truck that overturned on a highway and spilled a bunch of oats along the highway, stopping traffic for like a day.
Okay.
The headline is, Wild Oats Slowed.
No.
It's creative. Well, I don't know if it's creative. It is. It exists.
It's something. It's a headline. It exists.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Thank you very much.